So Luke chapter 5 tells us a story of Jesus just casually walking through Jerusalem, and he sees a tax collector. And if you know anything about tax collector, they were not the people that you wanted to be associated with. But Jesus looks at this tax collector called Matthew and he says, "Hey, come follow me." And he leaves everything that he is doing and he comes and follows Jesus, to the utter shock of the Pharisees and the scribes. They just do not understand, how is this teacher, this lawgiver supposed to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, and he is hanging out with sinners. They complain about Jesus because they say, "Hey, you're hanging out with sinners and you're eating with them, and so are your disciples." But John the Baptist, his disciples, they are praying and fasting. They are doing what good Christians are supposed to be doing. Now, have you ever wondered about that? When your pastor or your local leaders, they're playing football with the young people and you hear the criticism, "Don't you know that you should be doing more spiritual things? What about saving souls?" Well, to Jesus, this is saving souls, but he had harsh words and harsh criticisms to give to the Pharisees. It says old wineskins cannot hold new wine. And he ends the parable by saying this: there are going to be those who will say the old wine is good. We don't need to change. We don't need new wine. Let's leave everything the way it is. This is exactly what the Pharisees were doing. They didn't like what this teacher named Jesus was coming. They didn't like what he was trying to bring to the world. They were comfortable in their traditions and their views of how to worship God, forgetting that God was in their presence. We talk about church and we talk about living the Christian life, and we have to say to ourselves, do we recognize that the presence of God is with us? What does that look in practice? When the world radically changes, does the way that we express our love for Jesus change too? Suppose you have a situation very similar to the one in Syria at the moment, where we take on refugees and they start settling in your neighborhoods. Do you continue serving and worshiping exactly the same way? Or do you find a way to express the love of Jesus where you welcome them in? Are you saying we need to offer new wineskins to the changing world around us where the presence of God is with us? Or do we just simply say, you know what? We like the way things are. We do not need new wine. Let's stick with our own old wine. We have to constantly be throwing out the old wine and replace it with new wineskins. Because when we're in the presence of God, we adapt and our love is shown to those around us. Just as Jesus was welcoming sinners, so we too, when we recognize the presence of God is with us, express love the way he does. So, what wineskin are you willing to accept today?